If you follow this channel at all, you know that every now and then I do reviews on writing guides and writing references. Today I want to do something a little different and talk about this psychology book called the Anxiety and Worry Workbook. And while this is not geared toward writers in any way, there's a lot of great information in this book for writers, especially fiction writers. So if you are interested in making more convincing characters, stick around and I'll explain why I believe this book can help you out. What's up, guys? My name's Brandon McNulty. I'm a writer and welcome to my writing channel. Today I'll be talking about the Anxiety and Worry Workbook. And this is a psychology book that has a lot of different exercises in it, has a lot of subject matter that deals with things like anxiety, worry, dread, fear, things like that, things that potentially your characters and your stories might possess. So if you are writing stories that have a lot of conflict in them, that have characters who are worried about whether it's maybe their job, their family, their health, all sorts of things, this could potentially be a great book to help you write more realistic and convincing characters. And what this book is about, it's about the subject of cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT as it's often called. And what CBT is, it's this system that helps people provide relief for their anxiety. The way it works is that you recognize experiences that cause your anxiety, and then you pay attention to how those experiences affect your thoughts, which in turn affect your emotions, your feelings. And all those negative emotions like fear and dread and worry, those are problematic things that you can address by just taking a look at your thoughts, understanding why these thoughts might be false or negative, or why they're just untrue. And if you do fix them, you can potentially fix your feelings as well. Now, this is great stuff if you're working on a character who deals with anxiety on a regular basis. If you have a character who constantly worries about things like social situations or their well-being or any number of things, this book can help you write them more convincingly. Now, as far as the way this book is structured, it opens up with some intro chapters that answer the questions: what is CBT? What is anxiety? What is the anxious mind? And in these chapters, you'll find some examples of real life people who are in anxious situations and what goes through their mind and how they fall victim to these anxious thought processes. And it's really interesting, and these examples are pretty down to earth. There's things that you can just pick and choose from and put into your own writing if you tweak them a little bit. So keep that in mind. And then once you move past the intro chapters, there's a chapter on developing your anxiety profile. Now, you can do this for yourself. You can be real hands-on with it, or if you're more comfortable, you could just do it for one of your characters, whatever works for you. But your anxiety profile deals with things like identifying your thinking errors, recognizing your coping methods, and evaluating threats and danger, or perceived threats and danger in your life. From there, you move on to chapters that help you transform your anxious mind. And these help you deal with things like catching your anxious thoughts and deconstructing your fears. It's all about change in this section of the book. And then as you get deeper and deeper into the book, you'll develop a work plan for long-term anxiety. And at the very end, there's bonus chapters on the subjects of panic attacks, social anxiety, and general anxiety disorder. So there's a lot of good content in this book, and even if you're somebody who has no background in psychology whatsoever, I don't think you'll find it overwhelming. I myself, I don't really know much about psychology other than Myers-Briggs, and I've read a few books on like psychological diseases and things like that, but I'm by no means an expert in the field. I never majored in it or anything like that, and yet I still was able to follow the book from start to finish without really any trouble at all. Now, what I will say about this book is that you won't get the most out of it unless you do the exercises, and there are a lot of different exercises in this book. If you are just planning to go into this book and just read it from start to finish without taking out a pen and paper, without photocopying some of the pages in here, you will not get the maximum amount out of this book. I highly recommend doing the exercises, not just because they'll help you understand how your characters process anxiety and how they could potentially overcome it, but because this book can actually help you overcome anxiety in your own life. And I'm going to be honest with you, when I picked up this book, I opened it up. I think it was the first chapter. They ask you about 5 different anxious thoughts that you'd like to get rid of, or you'd like to work with and overcome. And for me, I had always had trouble with my insomnia. Particularly, I had this bad habit of eating right before bedtime. I had like this mindset in my head where it was like, I cannot fall asleep unless I eat a meal before bed. And this was something that went on for years. Ever since I was in grad school, there was like one night where I was having trouble sleeping and I was a little hungry, so I went into the kitchen, I made myself a piece of toast, and that was satisfying enough to help me get back to sleep. And then a few days later, it happened again at night. Couldn't fall asleep, got a piece of toast, ate it, went back to bed, fell asleep. Over time, this became a bad habit of mine. It became just like a nighttime ritual where I would have to eat before bed. And last year, it was getting really bad because right before bed, I'd be exhausted around 11 o'clock at night. And then I would go out into the kitchen, I'd eat a banana, I'd eat a bowl of cereal with milk, I'd eat a few scoops of peanut butter, I'd go upstairs to bed. If I didn't fall asleep, I'd come back down, I would get myself a plate of grilled chicken, I'd heat that up, I'd eat it, I'd go back up to bed. If I fell asleep, great. If not, come back again and eat again. It was all because I had this thought process in my head where this belief that I could not fall asleep unless I ate before bed. And what I didn't understand all those years was that this was the product of my anxiety. Sometimes anxiety is mistaken for hunger, and that could be a problem. And thankfully, I picked up this book. I took it seriously. I took the exercises seriously. I went through them night after night after night, and I am happy to say that for the past 4 months, I have not had to eat before bed. I'm not saying that this will work for everybody. All I'm saying is that it did work for me. It was something that it was like an added benefit of this because I came into this book as a writer and I got something else out of it. So if you are interested in picking up a copy of the Anxiety and Worry Workbook, I'll link it in the description below. It could definitely help you out if you're writing characters who get into a lot of conflict, who worry about potential scenarios down the line. And you can also potentially help yourself with this book. Again, I'm not an expert, but it did work for me. Question of the day: what is one specific thing that your main character is anxious about in your work in progress? Let us know in the comments section below. Thank you guys for watching. Be sure to check out my other videos, hit the like and subscribe buttons for me, share this video with a friend if you don't mind, and as always, remember to keep on writing.